Alternatives are out there to rebuild the beach. Some of the ideas you just mentioned, refashioning the boardwalk as a seawall, are one of the things that have come up in the research that I've seen, and there are many other people who are looking at that as well. So that's part of the reason why I think it would be wrong to try to rush out and just replace exactly what we had where it was. I think you do need to take a little bit of time to make the best protective measures that you can for the community going forward.
Well, I would recommend looking at Biarritz in France, where they have a 26-foot tidal surge, and they have exactly the same sort of promenade as other places.
All right, we have a quick question. Walter over here in the back, real fast. Okay. Well, Walter, hold on a second. Listen, I apologize for one thing. You know, this isn't a Q&A on Mr. Kavanaugh. We're going to try and keep, if you want to go that route, we'll stay the rest of the night doing that. Or we can get back to talking about our own ideas for the boardwalk. What would you rather do? Talk to Q&A to the... okay. Go ahead, Paul.
I've noticed that we were always very happy with our beach. We never asked for a lot. We never complained too much about getting more park stuff. We got our beach, we're happy. Now we don't have our beach. Now we're not happy. The ramp on 91st Street went out in Hurricane Irene. 14 months later, that's one ramp. It was built to be taken out 3 weeks later. That's one ramp. How long is it going to take to build an entire boardwalk? 5 years? This is like Katrina. When Katrina went down, they had the Army Corps of Engineers right away rebuilding levees and stuff. What are we going to do? Wait 5 years to build a new boardwalk? We're in an emergency situation. We need a boardwalk now. And if not a permanent boardwalk, something that Joe Hardigan says, we need something now.
I can't give you the schedule. I don't think it's going to take 5 years. You're going to see some substantial improvements by the time the summer starts. I'm not going to kid you and say there's going to be a fully built new boardwalk there, though.
Well, point of information. I just don't understand what's going to take.
Just to go back and forth, Joe Hardigan had mentioned something about a company wanted to come down and do something for nothing. Now, I don't know if I misunderstood it.
HESCO.
I'd like to ask the Commissioner why the Parks Department won't allow a company to come down and demonstrate something that we could use, maybe even on a temporary basis. But if Joe Hardigan is here, and if he could explain it to the Commissioner, and let the Commissioner say why he's not entertaining this. Is that a possibility?
I know what HESCO barriers are, and I didn't know that anybody offered to come down and do a demonstration or to build something.
I may have misunderstood that. That's why I said a point of information. I might be totally out of line.
Joe's right behind
you. No, I just said I didn't know that personally.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's not true.
No, you do.
A copy of the email.
Okay.
Send it to everybody. If anybody knows me, there's nobody can ever say Joe Hardigan never told me.
I'm sorry, this young lady over here.
My question is a simple one. What is in place right now? What is the plan right now for us in Rockaway?
Well, the short-term plan is to reopen the beach by Memorial Day. That means we have to restore...
What beach? Where's the beach?
My question basically is, right now, you can go right out here. The water, you can see the water right up almost to the sidewalk. What is the exact plan, month by month, if you have any idea, in the next month, next week, what is being done? HESCO, I don't know what a HESCO is. I don't know about these baffles. But the point is there something in place for us right now, because we've already lost value of our homes, but yet and still, we're talking about Memorial Days. We don't have that time. We just need to know simply, is there a plan by next week, in 2 weeks, what is the plan specifically? That's what I want to know.
I don't think I can answer that question for your satisfaction right now. I'm not going to make stuff up just to give an answer.
I have no plan. What do you have to answer to these people of Rockaway?
What do you do?
What do you have to say to these people of Rockaway? You have no answers.
I do want to say I understand, you know, the devastation that this community suffered. I understand the frustration in the room. I would like to be able to tell you that we're going to fix everything as quickly as you would like. I can tell you that the city is committed to rebuilding this community, specifically the beaches, and to make it much more protective of the community. I don't know that we can prevent every natural disaster from occurring, but we are committed to restoring the beach in a way that protects the community for the long term.
Then restore it for the long term and not the short term.
That's what we want to do, and that's why we're not rushing out to do measures that may not be in the long-term interest of the community.
Well, you go to sleep tonight and you think about your answers to these people about it. That's all.
Okay, Danny, you're up real fast.
Can you get Mr. Joe Hardigan and the residents here some kind of commitment to have HESCO come down, put this test barrier? Can you possibly do that?
I will definitely talk to Joe, and if they're willing to come down, we'll invite them down.
Great.
I want to first thank you for being here and compliment you for taking the heat. The bigger issue is, it's not about you. It's that Rockaway has heard promises, nice words, future ideas for umpteen years, as the lady over there kindly said. And the Parks Department has treated us like the bastard child of New York City. And nothing has happened that's helped these people. And all the stuff that's happening now, maybe it's because Parks didn't act the last 10 years. 17. So you can't answer those questions because you came up prepared because Parks does nothing for us. It's all talk, no action, and tomorrow is going to be the thing. And that's the problem. And again, I compliment you. Sorry you have to be there like this. And you're taking the brunt of the storm that's been building for lots of years here. Thank you.
I don't have any amazing idea of what the boardwalk should be, but I highly recommend that you do not build anything that you can't maintain in the future. Between the corroded rebar and the railings that we're missing and the boards that we're missing, you guys, I'm sorry, don't do an adequate job of maintaining something that existed. So I highly recommend whatever material you use, and hopefully it will be a barrier and it would sustain a storm surge like we had on October 29th, it's something that you can maintain or that you don't need to maintain ever because you don't do a good job or adequate or mediocre. It's awful. And the same thing happened with the Bay Wall, where the Bay Wall is in disarray and there's so much bureaucratic BS of who owns what portion of the Bay Wall, and nobody wanted to address the exposed rebar, corroded rebar, the railings that were missing, the benches that were missing, the concrete that was missing off the paver, and all of a sudden when Beach Isle Drive had 5 sinkholes or so, guess what? The Phoenix Marines are here for the past year and a half creating a new bay wall because of all the sinkholes that have been developing along Beach Isle Drive. So we don't want that to happen with the new boardwalk that hopefully will be built sooner than later. So maintenance free if you guys are going to be in charge of maintaining it.
Listen, we're gonna bring it back to why we originally came in. Okay, hold on. We have one more.
One thing, can I ask the commissioner, when you leave here tonight, that you go down 73rd Street and drive along Shorefront Parkway and take a look at what we have to see day in and day out. Half the lights are missing off of Shorefront Parkway. We've been asking for lights to be put up. And it's dreary and it's horrible for us to see every day. You need to go down there and look at that right now.
I will. I've been out here a number of times and I've seen those conditions, but I will drive down tonight as I leave.
And you can tell us, we know we need a long-term solution for the whole boardwalk, but we also need an interim solution, because at this point, all we need is one more medium storm, and we're going to have the same problem we had with Irene. Is there an interim solution for beach walls? Forget about putting the sand back on the beach, which is part of the solution. But what about interim solution for beach walls now, within the next 2 months maximum, so that we walk out and we don't see the ocean coming up to our blocks? Any kind of major barrier that can at least temporarily stop it from getting the sand onto the blocks and give us some protection.
We are looking at that right now, and we hope to have a plan that we can share with you. Excuse me?
Can you give us a timetable? Can you post a timetable on 311.org, say Rockaway, timetable, interim solution, long-term solution?
We will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We unfortunately are running out of time, okay? And what I want to just ask people to do is, we need to come back to the original idea while we're here. Thank you very much for being here. The most important thing before we break up tonight, we'll give out the date. Hopefully leave your email address on Friends of Rockaway Beach on Facebook. We'll have that there. Your surveys, please drop them in the blue box on the table on the way out. Also, take an index card and make sure you put your ideas down. I'm going to keep going around. We still have a few more minutes, so just quickly go ahead. Gideon, go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. My phone, I live on 119th Street, middle block. So I have the bay and the yolk for me. Because my purpose of being here tonight is to prevent having 6 feet of water in my basement, 4.5 feet of water around my house ever again. That's for both the bay and for the yolk. My ideas are as follows. Number one, whatever you do on that bay side, you put a check valve so when it comes high tide or even super high tide, the water from the bay doesn't go back to the storm sewer into the streets and hit some of the people on the blocks. Number two, I don't want any.
Can he have a mic?
Any talk of boardwalk has to be in my. Any talk of boardwalk, in my mind, has to include some sort of seawall to prevent a storm surge. Unless you can talk about a boardwalk that prevents a storm surge, I don't want to hear it. I don't care what the is. I think, as this gentleman over here said he saw over in Australia, some sort of seawall, and it has to be continuous all the way down. It just can't stop at 126th Street. I'm sorry, my friends. Because those baffles at the end of each block in Pontic and Bell Harbor aren't going to stop water coming through because there isn't any continuous seawall down that boardwalk now. You need something like a Haskell barrier. You can make it wide on either side, 10 feet high, fill it in, put whatever boardwalk you want on top of it, all the way down so that people can be protected. I want my house protected. I just don't, and a little barrier at the end of each block in the ponds, I don't know what that's going to do to stop a storm surge. It might stop sand coming down the block, but a storm surge, no. And there's no seawalls all the way down there now. So come on.
Okay, I attended the Jamaica Bay Task Force meeting last night, and if people didn't know about it, it was in our channel, and there were all the top heads of the National Park Service, the DEC, DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers. And there was a chart presented, and I had just earlier in the day tried to do a summary on my blog for residents in the community of the history of storms on the Rockaway Peninsula that I had gotten from the Army Corps of Engineers when I was researching my book. And there was a comment over there about the medium-sized storm Irene. Okay, last night, Hurricane Sandy's like up here is where the dot is on the chart, okay? Historically, storms were down here. The storm in 1938, even in 1960. So I spoke today with Professor Nicholas Koch. Everyone should know his name if you don't already. He's a professor at Queens College. He's not an earthquake scientist like the scientist that was at some meeting in Far Rockaway in Ocean Bay last week. He's a geologist, and he studied the coastal formations of the New York Bight. There's a CBS News tape of an interview from 2006. He said that if a Category 3 storm hits Rockaway, it's equivalent to a Category 5. If it hits the New York Bight at the direction at which the storm came. We could have a 28-foot storm surge, no problem. And if you look at the storms historically, the 1893 hurricane is kind of like about between Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, and the 1962 hurricane. And all the other ones are below it, including Irene. So that was not a medium-level storm last year, which caused quite a bit of damage. So